Yay, I tested it. It's working. So, hi, my name's Dave Zunker, and I'm going to talk about your chart. And so, what can I call you? Um, SH, I believe. Okay. Hi. Um, Now, we're not doing a full kind of chart interpretation here. That's another story. That's like over an hour on recorded material, whether voice or video. Not a lot of point in doing an hour plus on video when there's no discussion, when it's just me talking. But anyway, found this to be a convenient way to do a shorter blurb for people. And so you have a very interesting chart. We're not going into details about who you are. You have a pretty good idea. Um, but certainly this says that there's a big emphasis on the top part of your chart. In other words, obviously with birth time of 2:30 p.m. You were born with the sun high in the sky, so in daylight savings time. So there's a so your sun's up there in the top of your chart here. I can't really show you this because the camera reverses it. I think yes. Because here we got it's reversed. So your rising sign as late Cancer, 29 something Capricorn. Pardon me, late Capricorn. Now that's what brings in the whole kind of 2:30 p.m. Exactly. That seems like it might be an estimate. Normally, a few minutes doesn't make a big difference as far as the structure of the chart goes, but for you, SH, it can because you have very late 29 degrees, 30 degrees in each sign, 12 signs for 360 degrees for the simple math, 30 degrees in each sign. So your ascendant is at 29 degrees, 13 minutes of Capricorn, which means it is less than 1 degree away from being Aquarius rising. You may very well be early Aquarius rising. If 12:30 turns out to be more like 12:25, or like if 2:30, pardon me, birth time of 2:30 p.m. turns out to be more like 2:25 p.m. You might 2:20 p.m. You might actually be more a Aquarius rising. So some of these it can skew some of the predictive qualities because it's the house structure, which is about your time and place of birth, that can have to do with some of these timing elements. So you know what, we're going to sort of find out over these days, this year and into next year, if you're more an early Aquarius rising than you are a late Capricorn rising. So, onward. A lot of what's going on this year has been unfolding for the last 4 to 2 years, put it that way. There's an indication here, 9, yes, progress 12, that about 3 years ago, you would have gone through a real kind of inspiration. And now this stuff is about progressed Sun to your natal Neptune. So to skip the kind of analytical details, what it is about is kind of an opening up to kind of inspiration, maybe sort of a confusing time as well, kind of about 3 years ago. But it was an opening up time to kind of your own kind of spiritual core, your own kind of inspiration. And I think what you're finding here is that what normally might have been, for some people, they have this Neptune progressed Sun connection going on in their chart, it would be a ditzy time, a kind of confusing time. But at the same time, you had your progressed Mercury involved too. So it's like you're very analytical about what you're getting inside, and it's sort of like it's almost as though kind of for the last couple of years, going back kind of about 3 years, you're your own kind of a psychologist. You're analyzing your dreams, you're open to inner spiritual connections. This is happening in dreams at night or in any sort of meditation or yoga that you may practice. It definitely says that you're going to benefit, that you are benefiting from a personal spiritual practice. And even if that's jotting down dreams at night or something, but it's got to be, it doesn't work for you unless there's this element of analysis that you're doing about it. And so this is a process that's been opening up, and it says what you're opening up to. There's a marker here going on. We're going to say some dates. This year, March 28th, September 17th, so just like last week or whatever. And then coming up December 20th, you have this thing transiting Saturn, trining your natal Uranus. And your natal Uranus is near your sun, and it's in early Scorpio. And what it shows is that an opening up to, it's kind of a settling into a new belief system around these dates that I mentioned, which I'll mention again. The March of this year, 2023, March 28th, September 17th, December 20th. And certainly this shows that you're kind of becoming more comfortable with being a radical, basically. You have your own way of seeing things. It's normal is the path for cowards. It's about finding out who you are and being bold about it, being upfront about it, not hiding your beliefs, because what it's really about is it's not about some deity or religion here. It's more about humanity, human rights. And I guess I know enough about you to know that you're Sue's friend, and that I have to admit, I took a precursory look, glanced at your Facebook stuff, and it does seem like, is that your daughter? You're involved with rights for the disabled, about the importance of all humans being equal, and against it. So now that you're saying, if this is your stance, you're finding that this is going to pervade everything you do. It's like you're not impressed by elitism. You're the champion, the warrior champion of the underdog, of the need for people to be accepted as they are, for who they are. And if you're talking that talk, then I guess you got to walk that walk. And if somebody in the sort of normal kind of cultural environment that you find yourself in, you're not letting them get away with stuff, with saying stuff, with demeaning other fellow humans, regardless, right? So if that's what you believe, that's what you got to say. And that's what you're finding out here. So looks like kind of fireworks around Christmas, actually. But who cares? Fun. Yeah, it's a learning opportunity for others. What can you do? Are they offended? Tough beans. So that's kind of this cycle now.
that you're opening up to the inspiration of the last few years, and now you're having to embody it. And it's not necessarily an easy go. And some people close around you are going like, well, I mean, am I going to have to put up with this? Well, if that's the way you feel about it, take a hike. Because, yeah, if it's not your bag, change or go. Getting a sense here that, so let's get back into some dates. Because there's this, we all experience because we don't have 13 months in a year. And the lunar cycle is a 28-day about cycle. So as we go through the year, there's a shift in where the new moons and full moons happen. And, it seems it would have been more kind of poignant for you in July, kind of early August. But it would have been the moon and sun kind of with the like the new moon in Leo, and the new moon would have been really much more, I guess the old-fashioned way of saying it would be fortuitous, that it would have been opportune, it would have been favorable for taking new beginnings this summer and trying to make things happen, new initiatives that fit right in with your ideas, that fit right in with kind of you're able to be convincing, charismatic, draw people in to seeing things your way. Really good. Now, where that's going is the next one, September 29th, is what? We got that right here in the book. Oh my God, the full moon at 6 degrees Aries. And that's kind of close. It's not right on, so it's not that dramatic, but it's close to your own natal moon. And the moon was when you were born, you have the Aries moon. Aries moon at 8 degrees, 59 minutes of Aries. In other words, 9 degrees of Aries. And this is opposite your Mercury-Pluto placements in 9 degrees of Aries. So it makes you really kind of emotionally intense. And it makes you kind of a very strong kind of spokesperson for your family, but also other families. And it's like people confide in you, and you have to respect their privacy, but at the same time, you want to be able to speak for them. But this is wrapped up in how you speak for yourself in a inclusive kind of manner, because you're not just trying to help you and yours, you're trying to help, period. So what we got here is this emphasis around September 29th, and it's like an awareness, but it's also an opportunity, and it's a need to kind of step up. And I think you'll notice that next week. Not be shy. Those days are gone, eh? So, what have we, oh yeah. This is all in another context. There's a channel around this year as well, because the dates here are March 9th this year, early March of the past this year, and then again November 4th. It's as though something that you caught on to in early March, second week of March, is now coming up again this fall. I got November 4th. So these things, however, aren't that necessarily that specific to that date. You look a few days around there, a week around there. And what that one is transiting Saturn, trine your natal Mars from early Pisces to early Cancer, because your natal Mars is at 0 degrees 21 minutes. So we always round up in astrology. So that's 1 degree of Cancer at the start of the 30 degrees of Cancer. And this makes you kind of emotionally impulsive. That's okay. And protective around, because Cancer is family too, and it's also in the 6th house of your of kids and work. So there's a combining here of kids and work, and it says your child's very assertive, which kind of lights a fire under you too. If she was more milquetoast, none of this would be going on, right? And you're not falling into that either. And so what this says is, what started in March around your own children and around money issues and around your own personal drive and ambition, what you feel you need to accomplish, it's like by November, it's much clearer. And it's like you're going to turn around and go, because Saturn's going this back and forth thing, this retrograde motion. But by the 4th, it's moving on pretty quickly, and November, and it's, well, actually it's slowed right down because it goes back to almost like 31 minutes, and your Mars is at 21 minutes, so it doesn't quite reach that point. But it's important because when Saturn is stationary in Pisces, trining your Mars around November 4th this year, it's like a time of, oh, yes, this is what I want to do, but it's a little bit of, but I'm doing it already. It's like you kind of just take a look back and go, but you don't walk back. You just take a look back and then you turn around and go forward, because you see that you've already been doing the networking you want to do. You've been already kind of saying what you need to say, and this is just kind of more self-assured, shall we say, after November. Another cycle here you're in this year. Onto the 7th is the transiting Uranus. Moves pretty slowly. It's in Taurus for a few years here. 7 more. And it is on this thing in your chart that's called the tail of the dragon, or the south node. Now, the north and south node in the chart, they're a mathematical point having to do with the lunar orbit around the Earth, yada, 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 and how it intersects the ecliptic, the plate, and the solar system. So, not going to worry about the technical astrological and astronomical jargon here, but in astrology, we interpret the head of the dragon as sort of goals in life, what kind of moves us onward in life, propels us forward, and the south node as kind of what's kind of easy, what's we can kind of take, or we might kind of take for granted, or kind of a starting point, or a stabilizing point from which we can pursue our goals. And what we have here is this transiting Uranus. So at the same time, north and south node of the moon are obviously opposite. When the transiting Uranus is on your south node in Taurus, mid-Taurus, it is also opposite your north node by definition. And so these dates, we've got some dates, and if I give you these dates and you reflect upon these dates, then you may, well, one of them's coming up. Only one of them's happened already. You reflect upon what was going on around July 6th and 7th of 2023. Say that week, a few days into July, 4th of July, weekend maybe. It's saying that you're right. So again, it's the theme of this year. It's sort of radicalization. I want that. Light. Radicalization. Uranus is the part of radicalism, about revolution, about breaking through barriers of limitation, of breaking through kind of what has been established or established systems of Saturn. So Saturn comes Uranus, and it's wide open. So Uranus was discovered in the 1780s or whatever. It has to do with the American Revolution and the French Revolution and the whole overthrow of kingdoms and royalty. And so what it's about for us now is it's about the overthrow, about the individualization, about the cutting through, the moving beyond what we're told about any authority, whether that be church and state, about connecting, because you've had this experience of connecting to your own, a higher self or spirit, oversoul, your own kind of inner connection to the universe and to source, and we all have our own. We don't need any intermediaries, somebody, some other person, man, woman, dude, whatever, telling us what's right or what to believe. And so this is about this process. So July 6th, 7th of this year, then October 23rd coming up in about a month, and then April 23rd, interesting enough, 23, mystical number of 23, 23, 24, April of next year. It's like this. So it started July 6th, and it's a process. It's more inner on the 23rd of October, and then it's outer on the 23rd of next year, April, of founding your footing in personally in a rejection of norms and cultural requirements or expectations, and some new friends too, some independent bohemians to hang out with that support you instead of saying, yeah, good luck. Also, we have a new moon. This is in the same line, so I'm glad I'm getting this next. New moon, November 13th. It's October 23rd, November 13th. About new initiatives. It's really close to your midheaven. It's in your 9th house. It's about new initiatives. It's about teaching. It's about putting yourself out there. It's about volunteering. It's about teaching. It's about kind of career growth and progress. But for you, career growth is not about a status, a position, holding a position of power. It's more about wanting to pervade your message of change, of transformation in the systems. And it's not like you don't want to get locked into somebody else's definition of your role. So it's as though you're kind of an independent contractor here, but you're an independent contractor for ideas. And I hope you have some public speaking experience, because you're going to need it. And feeling easy, open with a joke. Imagine them naked. Take a course in public speaking if you have to. Pardon my computer making unnecessary noises. So let's move it on. This is a big year this fall that way around career, but let's redefine career. Let's you put a hyphen between ease and career is carer, and that's more your definition, I think. This is the thing I was talking about. Is your ascendant in late Capricorn the next thing here, or is your ascendant in early Aquarius? Because if it's late Capricorn, if it is what it is, if it is birth time of 2:30 and not 2:23 or 2:35, if it's 2:30, then we have February 9th or around there, July 18th, February 19th, pardon me, not 9th, February 19th of this year passed, July 18th of this year passed, and December 27th, when transiting Pluto is crossing your ascendant. So even a few minutes either way of 2:30, and that changes those things. So you'll be able to tell me if the 7/27th was totally transformative, or you can get back to me and say, well, 7/27th was just kind of being still cleaning up the wrapping paper from Christmas and no big deal and sleeping in. But if it turns out that the big changes are then in early January instead, in around is your perspective in life and what you feel empowered to do, because it's a big thing here, then we'll know that your time was a little off. But that's okay. Just to suffice it to say, there's this huge thing going on this year. These were the dates with this specific time. The dates change a little bit if the time is incorrect. But regardless of how, if it's not incorrect by hours, they all say that this is a huge year, and if the time is a little incorrect, maybe that's a little bit into next year as well, because we're going through this thing of Pluto moving into Aquarius. And it's about, for you, it's about a change in who you see yourself. Fundamental. Who you see yourself to be. It's a fundamental change in how you present yourself, in how, I might say, demonstrate your personality. And it's like, gloves are off. Pluto over it is bare bones. It's like, you get what I'm thinking. And if you don't, I'm going to make sure you do. So I'm sure you noticed this shift. Because it's empowering. It's all about, Pluto is very strong in your chart, being directly in the same degree of your Mercury and Libra, which means that you're always ready to kind of be diplomatic, accommodate, but that has to be based on truth and what you believe and what you see clearly. And it's compromise. It's diplomatic, but you don't compromise, if that makes sense. And I think it will. So that is what's happening this year. Really big. A change in your life, really. Which brings us into some other stuff. I think it's more next year. It's when this lunar cycle starts hitting into these degrees of Saturn in your 7th. And it's looking like the new moon next, Leo, is going to be near that point for you. And so what's that? Well, I don't have next year's data right in front of me, and I don't want to pause and look it up now. But let's just say the dark of the moon in Leo, there's going to be an early Leo next year, so that's late July, probably around July 30th or something. No, more like 25th, 26th July of next year, 2024. And it's saying that there's a big kind of awareness of the limitations, the structures of relationship, marriage, about what you need and what you don't need. what you want and what you don't want. And there's always room for compromise. And you're a great talker and you're a great, sincere diplomat. And in personal matters like this too. So that's maybe for another time if we do this again. That we're looking more kind of at that time for it's I guess what it's about is you're changing a lot. You're becoming much more career oriented. You see your work before you. You have a very clear vision of what you're trying to do, and you're seeing pathways open before you, networks open, a web of opportunity to create change in education, in culture. And you want to, it might take that long into next year for you to really kind of tell if your partner feels this is what they've signed on for or not. Because you're changing, and you're not changing to accommodate anyone. You're changing to accommodate your spiritually inspired sense of purpose here. So that sounds exciting to me and dramatic. So we're going to call it quits there after